up to Pagudpud, Ilocos Norte, Lucban, Pico de Oro in Cavite, Laguna, Batangas, and in Baler to visit Twiggy Subia during the elections for at least 3 times. So yeah. And Tito was never lonely. I don't know when he is alone in his bed. Kung malungkot o hindi. Yeah. I never heard him gripe. I think he's not a natural whiner. Ano pa ba? This is not about the officer days of Tito. Oh, yes. I learned one very important thing from Tito during those 18 months. And that is, it can be summed up in one word: simplify. This had been also the byword of Nelson Islao. And incidentally, if there is anybody who should talk about the officer days of Tito in the Air Force, it should be Nelson Islao or Danny Bilonia. They had the heroic exploits. I have heard plenty, but I am a police officer, so let the Air Force talk about it. Sabi niya, the best course of action to contend with any situation in life, it is simplify. Do not complicate matters. Example, when he goes home late and Munina asks him, where did you come from? It's already late. Ang sagot niya is, oo nga eh. Simple, di ba? Very simple. Oo nga eh. Oo nga eh. So, take note, Dong taba mo. Si Dong, iba ang style ni Dong. One time, umisa lang umaga na. Si Lulu, who was of course mad already, saw to it that she would be awake when Dong arrives. So what she did was, she sat just outside their door, bedroom door. But when Dong arrived, hindi pa niya alam yung simplified things. Oo nga eh. What Dong did was to proceed to the other room without talking to Lulu. So you can just imagine. Ay, akin pala yun. Sandali lang, pagagalitan ako ng patay, ha? Sandali. So lest I will be, I think a lot of my classmates are already apprehensive if I go out of line and talk not only about Tito but about them. So let's limit ourselves to those who, to Tito is about to go to the great beyond. And I would like to take this opportunity to verbalize my deepest sympathies and condolences to Munina, Noli, Kakoy, and Doc Bobby, your loved ones, and to Tito the father, the grandfather, Hampas Lupa, please extend our regards to Bong Ibuen, Franklin Browner, Boyet Runes, Bobby Nabida. You know him very well, right? And the others. And please tell them not to wait for us as yet. So thank you and good evening to everybody.
Okay, so Tito is from the Air Force, so we will call another PC guy. A very close friend, of course. He's not here, but we have a video of Big Bata talking.
Go. Oscar Eleazar Legaspi. Tito to many, but we love to call him plain Legaspi or even playful Legaspi. No title, no ranks, no frills, because that is how he deals with life. No limitations, no compromises, transparent. What you see is what you get. Most of the things that need to be said have already been said by the previous speakers. There's nothing much that I could add. Someone has said the virtues of a man can be divided into two: resume virtues and eulogic virtues. Resume virtues are those that are written in resumes in order to show what you have done in life to improve yourself and therefore escalate your worth, your education, your trainings, your job preference or experience, the books you have written, and the like. Pagbubuhat ng sariling bangko, ika nga. Eulogic virtues, on the other hand, are those that are spoken when you have gone ahead. It is how others view you as a person, your character, your good traits. Most, if not all, are how you have had an impact on the lives of others. Sometimes they are not true, but spoken nonetheless to console the family and loved ones of the deceased. However, in Tito's case, these virtues seem to have had no distinction because his eulogic virtues were declared, even affirmed, while he was with us. Some of you may not know it, but sometime in the immediate past, we were a couple. Meron kaming nakalipas. But definitely with the knowledge and consent of Monina. We live in one roof, slept together, dined together, and even entertained each other. I got to know him intimately as a person and as a friend. It got to the point that even our house self knew his quirks, how he watches eggs, his preference for fish, and so forth. By the way, as an aside, when I broke the news to my kasambahay about his passing, she teared up. I was fortunate that he was there when I thought I was ready to throw in the towel. Literally, he carried me on his shoulders. He even accompanied me to my dialysis sessions and fetched me when I finished. He did the same thing for another Mista, Babes Galvez. He was always ready to extend a helping hand. That is how Tito touched the lives of others. In the gym where we used to work out before, I was surprised that we were getting special treatment from the staff. I found out later that it was because of how he treats them. Like Barkada, he engages them and really listens to them. He has this special regard for the less fortunate. In fact, I am of the firm belief that many of those who joined us during our misadventures back in the late 80s was because he was within it and they believed in him. They knew He will only be an advocate of a cause that he really believes in, not for himself, but always for others. True enough, to this day, all he brags about are his family, his applause. No titles, no rank, no awards, no frills, no pretensions. But of course, his wild weekends with Munina. But that's another story. Tito, to many of us, you have gone too soon. We still need you to brighten our day and realize and appreciate the good things that we already have. We are consoled that you are in a better place and enjoying the peace that you really deserve. Be assured that your family is in good hands with the entire Matatag tribe ever so ready to provide comfort and support. I myself was amazed that the small committee created at a moment's notice to facilitate this event suddenly evolved into a committee of the whole. Everybody wanted to get involved or at least be updated. That is how it is with you, Tito. You are loved. My salute.
Actually, Victor Garcia Batak was here last night. Siya nga yung nagsarado dito kagabi. No? Anyway, before we go to the Rebel to Farmer Days and the Hampas Lupa, I'd like to call an interlude by Chodorico Estuesta Biduya. Yun pala pangalan mo. Alam ko lang, Chodi Biduya. Chodi Biduya.
Thank you, Dan. Good evening once again to everybody, Dr. Amelina and the Legaspi family. It's a very sad opportunity to meet again. There are a lot of us, classmates, and the beautiful ladies that we have, friends and relatives, because we are one in resisting to let go of a very good friend, very good classmate, very good rebel. Sometimes when we hear words of commiserations, they always say, we commiserate with you, accept our condolence on the untimely death, untimely demise of your dad, of your mom, of the friend. And sometimes I want to ask myself, is there ever a moment when there is a timely death? They always say untimely. My mom died when she was already 97, but because we wish that she could have been with us for another 5 years, we still consider it the death as an untimely death. Untimely because there is no pattern, there is no sequence in dying. Wala tayong priority list. Diba? But if you look back at the casualties of the class these last few years, there was a pattern of long sequence. Like we had casualties in the PC 3 in a row. Cutes Catalunya, Ted Runes, Ed Manaay, and then the sequence of Air Force friends, Air Force classmates. I think there were 3 of them too. Temyong, Byung Lim, Bobby Navida, Narsing Daos, and now Tito, four in a row. I hope it's not a pattern, but I'd like to ask the Army classmates to just prepare. Not four, not three. I hope it won't be a long sequence. The Navy guys, there are only 10 of them, so maybe God will be a little lighter with them because there are only 10 of them. And that is not a system of chronology. Dapat kung chronological ang death, first born, first die. And if that were the case, I would be sitting pretty, hoping that I'll die 5 years after Tex Balmaceda. Joke lang, kabayan. But seeing you, you're stronger than a Carabao. You have the strength of a 45-year-old guy, and I admire it. It's in the blood, is it? It's in the blood. There are three things that connect me to dear Tito. First, of course, is our being accomplished rebels. He was rebelling in the air. Where is my co-rebel here? Ed Mate and Twiggy, we were rebels on the ground. And I cannot think of any other Air Force classmate who has been so accomplished and complete in his participation when we launched what we wanted as a reformation in the armed forces. We were the RAM guys, but that changed into another meaning of RAM. After retirement, RAM became right away mom. We became members of the Sunset Club. Sunset lang, uwi na kami. That's the Sunset Club. And would you know that back in the academy, Charlie Company was the only company known for humor. That's the glamorized term of it, humorous. In the sidewalk parlance, corny. But Delta Company was infested with the humor of Charlie. And if I think of funny guys from Matatag, they are all Delta mistas. One is Bugsy. He is a very good person to be with, never a dull moment. He will make your day a very, very happy day. And the next is Twiggy Zubia, Delta guy who's also furiously corny. And Tito, he had always had a sequel to any joke. If we were joking about nuns or sisters, he will have his version, a remodeled version or a better one at that. When we talked about priests, his humor was there. And he was a favorite of some retirees from the Air Force, classes of the 40s, General Casabat, General Castañeda, who wanted him to sit with them because of his humor. And it was Tito who told us eventually that those elder cavaliers were always shouting at each other when they were around the table because they were all deaf. Mga bingi na. So they were all shouting at each other. And the last that connects me to Tito is golf, of course. This last few months before he got sick, it was always the police tandem of Mate and myself against Bilois and Tito. And they would always lose. They were always losing. And it was a sad morning when I witnessed Tito not being able to finish the round because he felt weak. And I shared with him my glucose tabs because this is how I get back my strength when I feel the hypo effects of being a diabetic. But lo, it wasn't a hypo event. And I was so sorry to learn later that it was more than that. And so, as I said in my words, final words for him, I admire his humor because we had the same frequency and that he was always a very meek guy. He never talked with me like a son of a general talking with the son of a surgeon. He was so open. He was very accommodating. He was a total person, meek and simple. Just like Poca said, he simplified everything. And I will sorely miss you, Mr. Tito. We have just warmed up, getting together, playing together. And now here comes the untimely departure. I give you my final salute. Just like Poca said, I hope we won't be following right away. I want to stay put. And if I inherited the genes of my mom, I'm afraid no classmate nor the ladies will ever come to my wake. I will die at 105. You won't be there anymore. Just a joke. Thank you and good evening.
Akala ko you were going to be humorous. Philosophical yung... Well, anyway, let's be relaxed. Ano? You can go up and drink or whatever. No? Kasi I think, sinabi ko 1 hour, pero 2 1 hour na lang siguro. No? Anyway, are you still okay? Okay, okay, good. So now, let us go to from rebel to farmer. No? Tsaka muna yung golf kasi may golf dito. Ito yung weakness ko. Hindi ako marunong mag-golf. So let me call Eduardo Salgo Matiliano. Mate, where are you, Mate? Hindi ko nakilala ka. May video ka ba? May kakanta ka ba? Come.
Si Chody hindi nag-alis ng face shield eh. Takot dahil gusto niyang mabuhay up to 105 years old. Wow. Anyway, I am not a very good storyteller like Poca and Rauli Garcia. And Danny Francia texted me to limit my eulogy to 5 minutes. No? Since na ubos na nung dalawa yung time, I will stick to the guidance of, so I have a manuscript. No? At medyo seryoso to kasi I will talk about yung pagkakulong namin at saka pagtago, no? As a rebel and as a fugitive of the law. And as a farmer. No? Thank you, Nona, for requesting me to talk about Tito because Tito has been so close to me, no, the last few years. These last few years. Tito and I were not close during our cadet days. He was Delta and I am Bravo. But after PMA, I joined the defunct PC, now PNP. Tito joined the Philippine Air Force and became a pilot, top-notch combat pilot. No? We were together in Mindanao. Ironically, our military life intersected during our coup, our adventurism as a rebels. In 1987, from provincial commander of Nueva Ecija, I became a prisoner after the failed coup d'etat of August 28, 1987. The 205th Helicopter Wing, where Tito was assigned, figured prominently in that coup. And Tito, being a reformer like me, was implicated. He went into hiding. Then, in December of 1989 coup, that almost succeeded, happened. Our tactical control of the air was primarily responsible, I believe, for the almost success, victory of the extra-constitutional exercise. Several military infrastructure and buildings in various camps were in ruins in the aftermath of that coup, that bloody coup d'etat. And Tito became, as I know, one of the most wanted pilots after that. I was already at Camp Kramis Taguig when I heard the news that Tito was arrested and brought to the Hanoi Hilton. You know Hanoi Hilton? It's the detention cell for all the coup plotters of the 1989 coup. No? This was especially built for them. And I was at the other side because I was imprisoned in 1987, 2 years earlier. I passed a note through a guard to Tito that if he needs help or whatever, or anything else, I am just at the adjoining jail where most of the 1987 coup plotters were being held. I recall that whenever this topic of our misadventures are discussed among the coup plotters, Tito never failed to mention that note that I gave him. No? Because He said, how can this guy help me when he was also a prisoner like me? No. But I told him, no, dahil senior ako sa inyo, sa stockade, I already have guards, no, under my payroll. So if you want drinks, alcohols, no, and other banned items, you can talk to me. No? You know, this Tito always tells everyone, uh, our comrades in arms who are implicated in the coup, about this story, this note, that he always make fun of this, no? Whenever we get together. When I escaped from custody from the army stockade in April of 1988, would you believe, no? To launch, to launch another coup d'etat, no? Uh, because if you remember, a week early, a week earlier, before that, April 2, I escaped April 9. Greg Hunasan escaped from his prison ship, no? So my escape is for me to lead my soldiers who are still being held at LST, landing ship transport at Manila Bay. I found out that the hiding place where I was brought by our friends who helped me escape, was the exact place where Tito hid after the 87 coup. No, I recall it was the butt of jokes among rebels that Tito choice of a safe house as a mansion with swimming pool, no, and a high-end subdivision. And that is exactly where I was brought by those who assisted me in that escape. No? Very near Port Bonifacio. Very near Port Bonifacio. No? Then in 2012, a warrant was issued against Tito for the Eulalia case, sending him again into hiding. And being unable to play the sports he loved most, golfing in the military courses, I offered to host him in Southwoods and Chanhae, where I am a member. No? So he could play incognito. That's where we became close. If you remember, I used to drop him at veterans, giving instruction to me to pag parada ng sasakyan, paatras para hindi makikita pagbaba niya. No? During this time, we learned that we have a common love for farming. I was into organic farming during the time that I even enrolled several organic seminars at High Laguna, very near to the farm of Tito in Lucban, Quezon. No? He engaged in several agri-business ventures, no? Through trial and error. Pareho kami, walang kumita sa mga ventures namin sa agri. Puro palabas. Puro palabas. But we enjoyed it. We enjoyed what we were doing and gave us a lot of exercise and exposure to sunlight. No? That's why we continue doing it. And finally, Tito found the BCO business, which until now is thriving. No? I hope Nona will continue the BCO business. No? Mabuti siya ako, wala pa. Yung piggery ko na swine flu, ubus. So, I'm very happy for Tito for his BCO business. I am amazed by the disposition of Tito that despite of his difficult circumstances, I never heard him complain nor regrets about his life misfortunes. His sense of humor was infectious. He has a big heart for the lowly, for the oppressed and the downtrodden. Biloy was right when he said his concerns for the lowly soldiers' welfare was very sincere, and he is willing to die for them. That probably explained why we click, we can identify with each other, because we were both rebels by heart. Kaya siguro, naging magkasama kami ni Tito during this last years. But during this last few months, this year, I noticed that the glow in the face of Tito had changed. His energy has also slowed down. But one thing, he tried not to show them and keep on joining our golf games, though at times he would quit after 9 holes, but would just ride his golf cart and watch us while cracking jokes. The typical Tito, who would rather cheer friends than be a burden to others. During his fight for his illness, we all have been praying for Tito's healing and restoration. But now, I believe that he is now with God, our Creator. Because in one of our light moments with Tito, I shared Jesus as the only way to heaven because of his finished work on the cross, the resurrection. But our priest said during the Mass. By God's grace, we are now comforted that our dear Tito is now with our Lord Jesus. Tito, Mr. My dear friend, I will treasure the memories that you left with us. I look forward to seeing you in heaven, our permanent abode, where only the love, peace, and joy of God reign. Your good works in this fallen world has perfectly prepared you in heaven, in the heavenly kingdom of God. Farewell, my dear Tito. We love you and we will miss you. Our prayers for comfort and strength to our dear Munina and family loved ones. Maraming salamat po.
Okay, to introduce golf. Oh, I've always avoided playing golf kasi to me, it's a sacrifice. It's a penitensya sa akin pag nag-golf eh. My wife knows that. Pag nalalaman nag-golf ako, hindi ako katulog. But anyway, I could not avoid it. So when I was an attaché, the ambassador told me, we have to play golf sa Washington, D.C. So he told me to prepare many balls, as many balls as possible. So makatapos namin mag-golf, sabi niya, oh, how many balls did you lose? Actually, I lost 3 clubs in the fairway. But anyway, there is a golf bag here. So I'd like to welcome Tex, Arthur Galpo Balmaceda.
Thank you, Mr. Dan. Good evening, everyone. For those who don't know me yet, my name is Tex Balmaceda. I don't really have much experience with Tito, for I've been away since 1981 until I came back in 2018. But sometime in 1986, I came home for the election and I saw Tito at the old Fort Bonifacio golf course. And I asked him, I gave him some dollars to give to my inaanak na si Kim na anak ni Gringo. And a week or so, few weeks after that, came the revolution. I was, of course, with the Marcos group, and Tito and Gringo were with the Inreli group. They won, we lost. That's life. Just the same, that same week they won, Gringo, my compadre, asked me to join them fight the Cory group. They split already after they won. But I was thinking of my family and I told Gringo, compadre, I have to go back, see what I can do for my family. They're in Honolulu. So he designated Tito to help me out. And Tito facilitated my departure from the MIA to the US. So for 32 years since I left, I have not witnessed the rise of my classmates to generals, to commanders. But I noted that when somebody gets sick, I will not email them. I made it a point to call them and talk to them in person. 2018, I came back to the Philippines to stay here and call it home. They say it's better in Manila. And one of the first people I met, who else? Legaspi, on the golf course yet at PNGC. Why? Because we have something in common. We love to play the game. And because of that, we formed a club and named it
Hampas Lupa Club. And because of the love of the game that Tito and the other mistas love, we normally get together talking about our cadet days, endless story about our cadet days, adventures when we're young lieutenants, unmarried. And down the road, settle down to our current problems about AIDS, health. Serious na, pag health, sakit ko rito, padre. But we lighten up when we start talking about our apo. Like this young lady here, I hear you're the baby of my mista. And it was your granddad, Tito, who kept prodding us that as we advance in age, lose part of our senses. Like me, I'm deaf. Like Tito, I'm one-eyed, as a few other mistas are. Tito insisted that we should continue getting together, like the class of 1941, who kept meeting each other even though they couldn't hit the balls anymore. They meet at the clubhouse. And the younger cavaliers see them and hear them laughing together, even if they couldn't hear the joke or the story anymore. Mr. Tito, last January 4, Egay and I reported to you in your hospital bed in golf Hampas Luba uniform. And told you that all of us, your classmates, were praying for you and are praying for you, and that we love you. You responded in a clear voice because when we came into his room, he was sort of smuttering. And Egay was trying to soothe him out, touch his shoulder. But when he heard, I told him, Tito, I love you. He responded, love you too, to the delight of the family and of course Egay and I. You even signaled me with your open palm. And I didn't know what to do. So I put my two hands to hold your open palms. And you pulled me like you wanted to get up. I tried to pull you up and take you off your bed. Probably take you to the golf course for a final round. But alas, it wasn't meant to be. Yesterday, we met you at the parking lot, but you were in a different form already, ashes. And yet, even though you turned to us, as every one of us will, you still had one special mission for us. Gagawin namin yan, Tito. Rest assured, your wish is our command. We will comply to Munina. Mista, farewell and aloha until we meet again in our next tea time in the golf course of your choice you reserve for us. So, Mista, thank you for everything. Thank you, Tex. Thank you, Tex. Okay, before we go to the president of our class, I'd like to read a statement from Greg. I think you've seen this, pero it's better that I read this for him, for Greg Unason, your classmate. So, and I quote, Tito belonged to the matatag brotherhood of imperfect men who, together, dreamed, struggled, suffered, and made the ultimate sacrifice for reforms and a better future for our most precious children. In the PMA class of 1971, known in history as the biggest group of insubordinate professional soldiers, insubordinate pero professional, Tito stood out. It was always a joy and inspiration to ask him for an opinion, a decision, a commitment that would translate into decisive action, because he always shared in the risk of a negative outcome, the mark of true leadership. This is very rare in an environment characterized by organized hypocrisy. And Tito stood by a strict code that required him to think, say, and do the same thing personally and professionally. We will miss him, but not as much as Nona, Noli, Kakoy, Bobby, and loved ones will. We, his brothers in arms, love him, but not as much as he loves God, country, and family. He now belongs to the ages and rests in our Lord's bosom, where he lives in our hearts forever. Godspeed, our dear Tito. End of quote. Now let me call Edgardo Batalla Aglipay, the president of our class, for his remarks.
On behalf of our class, I would like to extend our condolences to Nona, to Noli, Kakoy, and Doc, Bobby, and to the daughter-in-laws, and of course, the eldest granddaughter, Malaya. I was listening intently on the necro speeches given by my classmates. And I think I can sum up into three. The humility of Tito, the unfailing support to others, especially his classmates, and a mild-mannered person. Those are the three things that I've gathered. And I think this is the reason why he's the light for all of us. When I heard the news that Tito was about to go, I called on text and I requested him to, for both of us to rush to veterans. And Donna was kind enough to fetch us in the lobby and brought us to the room of Tito. And above all, gave us time to talk to him in his last hours. And when I asked him, Tito, what is your message to our classmates? He said, I love you all. And he kept repeating, I love you all. I love you all. Well, Tito, yes, you loved us all. To me, as personality expression of love is his humility. I never heard the stories from him about his exploits. That he's a good pilot instructor, that he did a lot of mission to support beleaguered groups, beleaguered troops on the ground. He did missions that is worth medals. He did missions that is worth writing. But it did not came from him. These stories came from people who were with him and people who benefited from his excellent leadership and commitment to his job. It is a rarity in a company of PMAers when they talk about their exploits. It is really very hard to butt in to tell your own story. Tito is a rarity. His exploits in his stories came from those who were with him and benefited from it. That is Tito. Tito, yes, you loved us because you were there to hear our stories. Not only our stories, even our problems, and help us. Thank you, Tito, for loving us. Another expression of love, of his love, is his unfailing support to a classmate in need, and even supporting to accomplish our dreams, even if it's an impossible dream. I think you know what I mean. But in 1978, I met a vehicular accident in Nueva Ecija. It was a near fatal accident. And I was on my way back to Manila. And from my monthly inspection of the Bliss projects of the human settlement, I was doing it for my boss, General Libas, because he was the designated human settlement officer for the Cordillera region and Region 2. Yeah, he need the inspection report for his monthly report to the First Lady, who was then the Secretary of the Department of Human Settlement. As I've said, the accident was near fatal, and there is a requirement for me to be flown from Nueva Ecija to Viluna in low altitude and at high speed because I'm losing blood very fast. And two of my classmates came to my rescue. It was Tito and Bong Ebuen. I was told that I could not survive if it was not flown at low altitude and high speed. To Tito and Bong, thank you for saving my life. I hope God will endow me with the qualities of Tito, especially serving other people, because I think that is the only way I can repay both of them, Bong and Tito, serving other people. And for in that way, I return back that favor that they gave me. Yes, you love us because when we need you, you came to our rescue. Salamat, Tito. To me, another expression of his love is his being cool and considerate. Let me give stories as a background. I saw these qualities not only in the golf courses while playing with Tito, but more so in his taking orders and distributing the product of Oil My Life. I am a heavy user of Oil My Life, massage oil, and body wash and shampoo of Nona and Tito. This is a quality product that I am willing to pay more for the quality product. Now let me now go where love is being expressed by Tito in this. First, on the quality of at a good price product that he's selling to us. But more importantly, and painstakingly attending to our varied and mere tormenting detailed orders, not to mention our ever-changing mind at the very last minute. Kung hindi si Tito ito ang nagtitinda, makakarinig na tayo na masasamang salita sa kakulitan natin. But Tito, the gentleman that he is, has never raised his voice and just smiled back to calm us when we are being makulit. He is a soft-spoken and unassuming person. Yes, Tito, you love us by understanding us and by giving your calming smile to our shortcomings. Salamat, Tito. Tito, you will leave us now, but your solid character of humility, unfailing support for others, and being a mild-mannered person will live in our hearts forever. Until we meet again, Mr. Thank you, Tito.
A while ago, I said, kung kailang ganito, baka pa natin nakikilala ang pamilya. And now we would like to listen to the members of the families, the sons of Tito, as they give testimony to family life. Kung tawagin natin muna yung panganay, Antonio Manuel or Noli.
Good evening. Ako ang I was the one who created the slideshow. If you noticed on the TV, playing since the start. I had a hard time, because ang daming picture. Iba-iba ang mukha nakikita ko sa picture eh. It only means ang daming kaibigan ni Papa. In the past few days, I've also personally learned more about my father from his friends. Needless to say, he was very quiet around us. Yeah. So I was not very close to my dad growing up. He was a strict man, and he was stern with us. You can imagine we were 3 boys, and ako yung panganay. So ako yung front lines parate. But I have a son of my own, and I understand why he was that to us. I've only one boy, somewhere, I don't know where he is, but probably playing in the back. But I understand why he was that way, raising us. But we knew that he loved us, from a distance, I would secretly call him a bear. I posted to Facebook. I don't know if you've seen that, no? That the bear is gone. Long live the bear. because I always looked at him as a great uh, grizzly bear patrolling the perimeter, from afar, from a distance, uh, protecting his cubs, his family, his friends, his loved ones. But I knew through experience that yes, Papa was strict. He was very stern with us, three boys. But I knew that he had the heart of gold. I remember a couple of uh, instances that revealed his somewhat soft side. I don't know if si Mommy knows this. Malamang nakwento na ni Erpat to at kay Mommy. But I remember when I was still going to college around 97, 98, UST. Uh, at the same time, I was also learning to drive on my own. So he would teach us in his Dutch Colt. Hindi ko lang kung alam niyo yung mga friends niyan. Dutch Colt. Ang cambio ng helicopter. That had a big red button. I always thought there were missiles under the Dutch Colt. Though in Papa, it would probably be true. So one day, I think I was excited to show my friends that I knew how to drive. First year college. First year college around 97. So pinuslit ko yung Dutch Colt ni Papa. So pag malaki, magaling ako mag-drive. So on the way, we're still living in Magallanes. And ang daan ko noon, Osmeña, tapos Nagtahan. Maraming truck doon, no? Maraming truck. The particular day, medyo minalas ako noon dahil when I took a right, one of the truck's bumpers hit. I don't know if you noticed. It hit the windshield of his Dodge Colt. So it shattered. The windshield shattered before my eyes. I was okay. But any normal person would say, "Oh my God, I'm going to die." Keep in mind, I was just starting to learn how to drive, But no, what first entered my mind was, patay ako kay Airpods. Na-shatter ko yung salamin ng Dodge Colt niya. So I went to a gas station. I had it cleaned. Then I was ready, my cell phone na nun 97, 5110, Nokia. We had 5110s. Papa had 5110. We bought for a member of the family. So I said to myself, man up. I have to face the music. So I called Papa. Papa, yung Dodge Colt mo, nasira yung bintana. Yung windshield, nasira. So I remember my face when I was holding the phone, the 5110, my face, I was going like that. I knew he was going to scream. But no, he didn't. The first thing he said to me, Noli, are you okay? He did not scream the whole conversation. Dalhin mo lang sa ebanghilista. Bili ka ng windshield, maraming surplus dyan. Bunuhan mo. So that I was, needless to say, I was very relieved. No? And I have another occasion was it was about a car also. Yes, I seem to remember during second year, 98. Full load in my subject had, I think, around 26 units, 27 units. So that's Monday to Saturday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. In the morning, I would sasabay ako kay Papa the morning. Because I seem to remember he had work where did he work then? I don't know. Yeah. So yeah, so there he also had I think work Monday to Saturday. So swerte, sabay ako ng umaga, and in the evening I would commute because that's one way of Papa, the way he raised us, three boys. He told us, grade school pa lang, mag-commute kayo para hindi kayo paanga-anga. You have to know how to be, you might be intelligent, but you don't know the way of the street, mahirap na. You have to be streetwise. You know? So mag-commute kayo. So swerte ako na I would hitch a ride with him in the morning. Then in the evening, I'd go home 9 p.m. So this particular Saturday, I wasn't feeling well because I remember I was drinking with friends the night before. So I had the terrible hangover, you know. But I don't know, I think somebody's birthday the night before. So, but still I had no excuses because sasabaw ako kay Papa eh. Alam niya, may pasok akong Sabado eh. Hindi pwede. Dapat bumangon. So, ang consolation ko na lang, even though I had a terrible headache, na okay lang. Papa will be driving naman as usual, so I can sleep in the car. But this particular Saturday, when he woke me up and we dressed up, went to the garage per usual, sabi niya sa akin, ikaw mag-drive. Okay. I said, okay. Ayoko pa na may hangover ako. Yari ako eh. Alam ko sabihin niya, ba't kung uminom, alam mo may pasok ka kinabukasan. Okay, so pago lang, kunwari lang. So we drove from the house, Magallanes, Makati to Pinoval, UST. That's his route. It was first time he told me to drive, like mag-drive. Okay, so I was out, I was feeling bad, but enough to drive. So when we went to Pinoval, I put it to the side. Then he got out. Then I got out. Then I said, sige Papa. Yeah, sabi niya. So he went to the drivers, and I was about to cross the street to go to school. Biglang nagmura siya. Yes, sir. Ba't mo nilak ang pintuan? I accidentally locked the car. When he got out of his side, he locked the door. And keep in mind, I had a terrible hangover. I wasn't myself. I accidentally locked the car. So he got so mad. I tell you, I don't remember any. I was so fast in going inside to say, Papa, sorry, bye-bye, I have to go. I'm gonna be late late in my class. So, sige na, pumasok ka na. You got it. I'm telling you, the whole day, that was from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. I was so anxious. That's all I could think of. Nakayari ko airpat. So the night I commuted as usual. Went home. So the bus would drop me off to the gate. Then I would walk from the gate to the house. The house, Magallanes, the big house in the middle. 10-minute walk yan, no? So madilim siya, no? Madilim. Then I was walking, then all of a sudden, someone went up behind me. Noli. Sorry. Si Papa was jogging that night. He saw me walking that night. Nasalubong niya ako. Then siguro inisip niya, oh, I think you have to say sorry. Yeah. Sabi ko, mag-sorry si Erpat ah. That was the first time he said sorry to me, I think. Yeah. So, marunong pala. So Papa had a heart of gold. although it didn't seem apparent to us, but he did, and we knew he loved us, protected us, and his last mission in life was accomplished. He built the house for us, and that's where we are now. And his legacy will live through us, his friends. And don't worry, Papa, we'll take care of Mommy. Nothing to worry about. So the great bear has gone. Long live the bear. Thank you.
Noon pa, alam ko na si Tito, meron siyang anak na member ng River Maya. So ngayon ko lang nakilala yan. Sabi ko, pareho tayo kasi nagko-combo-combo rin ako. Pero dati, ang tawag combo. Ngayon ang combo sa Jollibee na yun. Iba na ang tawag ngayon, band na. Dati combo-combo. Combo pa. Combo mangon, ganyan. So, Victor Angelo, Kakoy.
I will do as my father does, not follow the rules. You need to see the expressions, I guess, because that's how we communicated. Unless I will follow my mama and be a good boy and spray. This is now COVID-free. Thank you. Okay, before anything, I need to do this. Anyway, thank you, everybody. Thank you, class of 71. Matatag po talaga kayo. And Papa, I'm sure you're happy because a lot of family and friends are here. And this is your treasure. And yan din ang legacy mo. And if there's one thing that makes us happy is the stories that you tell us that we've only heard today. We all knew that he was so heroic, but wala kaming kwento kasi ganyan talaga siya. Alam niyo ba si Airpat, kausap ko ang aking may bahay, si Trixie. Sabi ko sa kanya, isip ko, siguro sa buong pagsama namin ni tatay, siguro 300 words ang na-share namin. Suma total, 300 words. Tapos sabi ni Trixie, grabe ka naman, di ba, kahit 500 kaya? Sabi ko, hindi, 300 talaga 300 Man of a few words talaga. And we communicated with silence, beautiful silence. And siya, well, we share the same experiences din kami kami magkakapatid. Alam mo, I guess manunong din siya kasi he wanted us to be, I guess just as upstanding as he was. And we to this day always try to live up to that. And let me tell you how it was, to give you an idea of how he was as a father. That made me think. Dalawa lang ang naalala ko kung paano yung mga sinasabi niya. Sa 300 words na yan, yung dalawang madalas ay yung hindi pa nga salita, parang ito okay pa yung yan, ayan, yan, multi-purpose yan lahat, Nyari, lalapit siya sa akin, ako yun yan, okay na, yun yung mga conversations namin, ganon, very short but sweet, yung isa naman, yung isang naalala ko growing up, which was very formative, was bagal,
yan. May madaming layers yan. Minsan, yung pag, ako kasi talagang ano ako, baka ganyan talaga ang mga musician, late lagi. You know, so, I would ride out also with my dad, to school. And those were very, looking back, those were quite exciting experiences also, because unang-unang ang hirap kong magising. Talagang 7:30 alis na sa bahay. Minsan magigising ako 7:20. Sabi ko, naku, yari. Talagang yan minsan maririnig ko na sa malayo. Bagal. Talagang So yan, ito ibang klase talaga. Kasi minsan 7:30 aalis na yan. So I remember numerous times bababa na ako, hindi wala nang kaya, minsan wala nang ligo, toothbrush lang, tanggal ako, timuta, diretso na ako sa garahe kasi inandar na niya yung kotse at nagba-back out na siya, paalis na siya. Tapos kita niyan, kumbaga, imagine the scenario, kaka-back out lang at andar na, andyan ako mag-vault in, papasok ako bigla na fortunately, titigil siya para papasok ako. So pagpasok, sabi ko parang parang mini mission ito okay So pagpasok ko parang bilib ako sa kanya kasi hindi siya magagalit sa akin. Parang lang. Parang buti na umabot ka. Buti umabot ka. And then yung nanay ko, sasabihin naman minsan, why don't you talk to your father about what about the revolution? And sige. So one day I said, Papa, ano ba nangyari sa EDSA revolution? Okay, talaga man of a few words. Sabi niya sa akin lang. Hirap. So ako, sabi ko, ano kaya follow up nito? Sabi ko, Papa, ba't mahirap? Gulo! End of conversation. Yan, gano'n lang kami. But my father, tinuruan din kami, lalo na ako, kung paano sumagot ng tama sa mga tao. Naalala ko, isang umaga din, pumasok siya, takot ako, parang Great Bear nga. Kakoy, ano itong sa USD? Ano itong 4? Sa dumating yung grades. Sabi ko, ang sa utak ko lang, sabihin ko lang yung totoo na sabi ko, yung itong grade na to na 4, bagsak pa to. So ako sabi ko kay Papa, hindi, yan, incomplete lang. Tapos siya, sige. Okay na. Maano lang, madaling kausap. And I know, yung tenderness niya, it is not as apparent, but it was always there. I remember, nag-taekwondo kami, tas ang sakit ng paa ko. Sabi ko, Papa, sakit ng paa ko. Sabi niya, wala yan. Pero tuloy pa rin ako, parang, sakit. Siguro nakita niya, talagang hindi ko na pinapakita na masakit. Kasi mamaya magalit pa. Sabi niya, suot mo to, yung socks, tapos lagyan mo ng ng Bengay, yan. Yun, sabi ko, and that really relieved me, kasi, yung pala, bali na pala yung paa. Bali na pala, kaya talagang ang sakit, But he was so, he was so compassionate with, us boys. He never raised a hand on us. He never was inconsiderate. He never took it out on us. And magalit lang yan para siyang parang big bear. Pero pagkatapos wala na. Ano yan? Parang saan na tayo kakain? Gano'n na yan. And what is there to say? There's a lot to say. But I want to say thank you talaga, Papa. You showed us the way we know how to be because you led by example, even in being a father, just like with your friends. You were as humble as you can be, and you straightforward, and you taught us well. And you know, I have one more story. I guess, um, which I kind of forgot. So, but I just want to say, let me take you back to on that fateful day, that fateful night of January 4, where Sir Tex and Sir Agdipay were gracious enough to pay us a visit, and it was just testament to the spirit of this man who, despite everything, baldado na siya noon. Baldado na siya noon. And yet, he still, parang ninabanan niya lahat. Parang, to say I love you to his mista. And just to really express, I mean, right after that, nabuhayan siya ng dugo, and he said, I think that was the time he really said goodbye to us. I remember, I may be wrong, but I heard Papa saying, no more, no less. No more, no less. No worries, no regrets. He lived a full life, and that was his life was his ways were his gift to us, all of us, his family and friends. He may be a man of ako nga hindi nga siya man of a few words, parang man of no words eh. Believe ako eh. Talagang ganun siya na tatay, talagang read in between the lines, watch me, parang ganun. This is the way, even up to the end, I stayed with him. I felt like I was returning the favor of him, just like me nursing me with my painful foot na balina pala. I felt it was the same way. I felt like he was already at his, wit's end with this pagsubok na dinaanan niya. But he never complained. He just took it, and I will always remember his strength. His strength is in us magkakapatid and the family. We will be strong because he's always strong and always there for us. And thank you, Papa, for everything. We will surely miss you. And with that, I want to call the look-alike of Tito, our youngest, si Doc Bobby.
Mami, makulit spray daw. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here. Also for those who are tuned in via Zoom. I was born in 1986. So the peak of my father's mischief. So you can say that I'm a product of that. After hearing the testimonies of his friends, classmates, golfmates, it seems to us that there were two versions of the same man. So you describe him as very gregarious, very madaldal, always joking. It was the complete opposite for us. It was a different experience. It was a different experience having him for a father. So sa amin, sa family, ang madaldal si Mami. So there was a certain dynamic sa dining table pag sa amin. So nanay ko yung salita siya, tahimik lang. Tapos hirit na siya. Gano'n lang yan. Tapos in a way, nagkaroon kami ng sariling language eh. Yung among kaming magkakapatid, including my father. We had developed a language that mostly consisted of grunts, grumbles, depending lang sa inflection ng pang-grumble. So paminsan pag kinari sa dining table, parang wala yung kanin. So kami naman, may yung mother ko, sobrang lagi siyang naperplex siya doon sa idea na yun na nagkakaintindihan kami. Which is, nga, may instance na kaya rin nasa room kaming tatlong magkakapatid. Then yung mom ko nandun din. Pasok lang yung dad ko, tapos, sabihin niya, Noli, gaganon siya. Tapos kaano lang kami, papa. Tapos si nanay ka, sobrang, sinabi niya. Parang kami, di na namin alam Umuha lang kami. Pero mo tapos na yung usapan kasi umalis siya So ganun Pero we know that he cared for us. He led truly by example. And through yung grunts niya, grumbles niya, parang I deduced 3 guiding principles based on yung the little words na he spoke with sa amin. Simple lang. Number 1, huwag kang duwag. Well, actually, ang ginamit niyang word was more politically incorrect. So, alam niyo naman siguro kung ano yun. Number 2, huwag kang bano. So, number 3, huwag kang mayabang. Yun yung, he did actually say to us. Pero, based on yung mga how he acted, yun yung nakuha ko sa kanya. And usually the scenario parang sa dinner, kunwari, yung mom ko magreklamo siya about someone, so workmate, o ano. Ano yan, sige yan. Ano yan? Ano yan? Dami niyang ganyan. Yung dad ko makikinig lang yan. Tapos, parang iipon yan ng lakas. Simahot lang yan. Banok. Yun lang. Tapos kung sino man yun, baon na siya sa lupa. Tapos na usapan. Isang salita lang galing sa kanya. Ganun siya. Kakaiba yung experience din namin sa kanya. So, nung nalaman namin na gano'n siya with yung friends niya, nakakatawa din to find out na iba siya sa labas, iba siya sa bahay. Which parang, I had an inkling na Kasi there was this one time nung high school ako, or maybe college, night out with friends. So, inuman yan. Tapos umuwi ako sa Magallanes pa nun. Usually through the gate. This one time, yung gate kasi creaky So pagka boss mo, ganyan. Apparently, yung father ko, kakarating lang niya. So siya nagbukas ng door. Tapos naisip ko, nakita ko siya harap. Amoy yosi, amoy alak ako. Nangyari ako. So naglakad ako. Medyo, kasi gusto ni Papa, magbeso kami sa kanya. Yun as manly as he is, nire-require niya sa amin yun. So parang, sige, face the music na lang. Kung napansin niya, nakinom ako, uwi ka na. Pero nung palakad ako sa kanya, siguro magato ko kalayo, naamoy ko na siya. Amoy alak, amoy hosi. Sige ko, okay lang ako. Okay lang. Doon ko naisip na, eto si Papa, masaya siguro mga kaibigan yun. Enjoy siguro sa labas. Which is nakita ko nga, nung final days, bumisita si Tito Egay, Tito Tex. Nabuhayan siya. Sobrang nabuhayan siya. So, sa napansin ko, na umalis na kayo, medyo pa rin. Aligaga pa rin, siya pa rin siya. Tapos napansin namin, parang he was talking, medyo delirious na siya, in and out of consciousness. So he was talking to apparently someone in front na parang nagsisignal siya. Parang medyo ma-action siya nun. So parang apparently, nung kinikwento ng sisters-in-law ko, yung wife ko, nung time na yun, nagyayaya mag-beer. Siya, you want a beer? Gano'n siya. Tapos na-realize ko, ang dating pala nun, parang nag-order siya. Nag-order siya ng beer. Yung action niya. Tapos biglang tatawa siya. Parang out of nowhere talaga, tumawa siya. Tapos yun nga, binanggit nga niya, no more, no less. Gano'n siya. Sabi, okay na ako, no more, no less. Naisip ko, lasing na. Gato pala si Papa pag lasing, naisip ko. So it comforted me to know na yung last hours niya, masaya siya. So, yung memories na meron siya with his friends, it comforted him sa dulo. It helped him talaga transition. So, I'm a doctor like my mom. I've seen death dying in many ways, in various forms. Pero sa dad ko, I could say na it was a beautiful death. Very peaceful. He went in it with complete acceptance. So parang it's very admirable. And in a way, I think he showed it to us kung paano. So he showed us how to live. He showed us how to die then. And there was a time pa nga, I think I was with my mom. Nasa deathbed kami, nag-ano siya. Hi, Papa. Gumanon siya. So, parang naisip namin ng mami ko, shit, sinusundo na siya. Ano na to? Patapos na. Pero in a way, na-comfort din ako kasi the idea na sinusundo tayo, may comforting pa sa akin. Buti nang may sumusundo. Kaysa yung wala, tenga ka lang. So, sa akin, it was a great comfort to know that. So, kay Mami, when that time comes naman na it's your turn to be called home by God, I think si God will send Papa to fetch you. So it's not really goodbye, more of see you later. I feel din naman na yung father ko ang physical form lang niya yung nawala, I would say. He lives in us, kaming magkakapatid, in his apos. And it seems na every day that I get older, I see more of him sa mirror. So I know talaga na hindi siya mawawala. Thank you. I'll introduce the first apo of si Papa. She was the one who brought out the tenderness sa father ko. Noong una, strict yan. Pero mag I love you lang si Solen sa kanya, tunaw na.
Hello, can I get the alcohol? Okay. So, I'm the daughter of this dude, and I'm the mother. I know she's my mom, so I'm gonna keep my mask on for her, and then I'm going to keep out my face shield. Okay. My Lola was very sweet towards all the apos, and I'm the first apo, and plus I'm a girl. From all the three boys to a girl, he really got softened, and he lives downstairs from me. So I live in the top floor and he lives in the bottom floor. And he'd always stay inside. And I always knew it was getting bad when he used a cane. That's when I really got, oh no, it's near. And then he wouldn't speak unless it was necessary. He would always go, mm, mm, mm. And then there are different emotions. There's his happy one. There's his sad one. And then there's the Oscar one. Oh, and then there's the happy one where he goes. He never really laughed verbally. He always kept tried to keeping it. He's like, I don't know how I'll go through this without crying. So before the COVID, we'd go to the mall every Christmas time, and he had this one rule where you'd get your own cart, go around the mall, and you can put everything you want in it. But when you go to the cashier, you can only get two. So we'd spend hours putting stuff in, and then we'd only get two, which I thought was okay. And this year we couldn't go, which was sad because of the pandemic. This is actually the first time I went out in a long time. Um, this is also this is also my first death of a loved one that I really got close to. So it's real. I really cry sometimes. Sometimes it's out of nowhere, but I've accepted it. Um, and I've heard stories from his classmates, and it's really surprising that this guy who was inside in the Lazy Boy watching Taylor Swift's documentary did all that. He doesn't even know who Taylor Swift is. And then um before pa, right, he was soft towards us. The only time I saw him really get mad was the time maybe 2 years ago where the first like that was the time where I moved in, close time when I moved in, and Oscar, my brother, is he here, ma? Oscar, he's there. He liked making paper airplanes, and he is a pilot. So he told him how to build one. He said to cut these stuff off and bend it down so when you land, it's smooth. And he'd always do that. There would be a box of just planes piled up, paper planes, and he was shooting it around my Oa's bedroom, and it hit my close to my eye, and my went "Hoo!" And the only thing I remembered me thinking was run. So I ran up. I ran up, and then I was like, I should probably check on my brother because he hasn't came up yet. So I went downstairs, and I could see Oscar outside in the garage crying. He was like, I was like, what's wrong? He's like, how dare you? You and then yeah, he really cried. That's the only time I saw him really raise his voice. And there was this is the closest memory I have. The funny one because it all went downhill afterwards. It's when I had to record OS video for veterans. So they were recording in the sala. And then there's a door that leads to the room and the bathroom. So I was recording da 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 da, and then I was a really quiet person, and then you can hear in the background an opening of doors, and then opening of cabinets, and chomp, and then you could hear the faucet flowing, and you're like shh, shh, and then after that we're like, okay, stop. So we paused the video, and everything went quiet. It was like, this is so weird. It was really funny, and he was very giving and very humble. Everything he gave us, we needed to earn it. So I went to school, I really studied, and towards his death, I didn't really go downstairs anymore because I was studying, I was trying to get my grades up, and then he got rushed to the hospital where I was like, oh no, I should have went down. And then, but no regrets at all. So he was downstairs and all that. What I talking about? And yeah, I see. Yesterday, I really cried because I saw these flowers, and it reminded me of a moment when I was 7. Me and my classmates were my friends, not all my classmates. We were on call, and then we were talking about our weddings, like normal 7-year-olds would do. You were like, oh, this one, this one, this one. We like white flowers and pink flowers, all of that stuff. And they're like, who's gonna be in your wedding? I was like, oh, my Jing Jing, who is on call, I think, on the Zoom, my Lola, and Nina, and Jean. So, and then I really started crying when I saw these white flowers. There's so many things I wanted him to be there for, and he can't. And mind you, this is my first death of a loved one. So I thought, he's not actually not there. He's actually here. And sometimes I go downstairs, I rush down at the morning and I open the door and he's not there, which is really sad. But I have so many good memories, and he really was kind to all his apos, and he never got mad at any of us, really. He never he never did anything bad. And to see all the things he has done, it really makes me proud. Thank you.
Thank you, Solen. Thank you, Solen. The response, Nona is the only woman I know that yung palayaw niya mas mahaba kaysa yung original name. She is Nona de la Fuente Legazpi, pero ang palayaw niya Monina. Mas mahaba pa sa the response from
Can you put it down? Get somebody. There are two strains of COVID for your information. My 42 years of marriage with Tito was everything but normal. It consisted of roller coaster rides of all types and all shapes. Initially, we were only two in the roller coaster, but as the years went by, we added 3 sons, 3 daughters-in-law, and 4 grandchildren. And we all enjoyed the rides. Tito loved his family. He knew exactly what was needed by any one of us just by analyzing the situation and our fears or anxieties, if there were. And he always said, there is a solution to anything. His foremost consideration was the safety of us all. Tito was a very simple and humorous man, and that was what attracted me to him, his humor. He was humble and never bragged about anything, even if I would hear from outside. I would say, I heard something. Is this true? Hindi, wala yan. Matagal na yan. He would just say, except he would brag for the cheap things he would buy for himself, like a 200 peso pair of Sanuk sneakers he would get from Liliu. Tito was very kind, sometimes to a fault. He was very unforthcoming about his friends, but very effusive to those he believed and loved, and they were many. He was adventurous. He loved the outdoors, and that would explain why his favorite game was golf. His frequent golf was never an issue to me because I saw how he loved it. On October 6, 2020, he collapsed when standing up from our lazy boy sofa. He needed a transfusion of 3 units of packed red blood cells because his hemoglobin was suddenly dropped. His hemoglobin suddenly dropped to 62 against a normal of 140 for males. And he never complained about symptoms attributed to this to me. Perhaps he already knew that I knew. He was showing constitutional signs and symptoms of cancer, but at that time, a blood disease was farthest from the minds of the doctors. He was treated for more than 10 years for a chronic kidney disease, or what people would say CKD. He was discharged on his birthday, October 8th, and he was still able to blow his candle on his cake with his four loving apus, whom he loved so very much, all beside him. On November 4, he was readmitted for another transfusion, and a bone marrow biopsy was done, and an MDS was diagnosed. An MDS means myelodysplastic syndrome, a pre-leukemic disease which can be treated to retard the onset of leukemia and is common in his age group 70 years and above. Another consult was done in UST, which confirmed the diagnosis, and treatment was started with injectable medicines which were done at home. He was advised to build himself up for the next stage of treatment, but I could see that he was getting weaker, sleepier, and he had to walk this time with a cane. He joined the golf game on December 2, if I understand, and stayed at home always thereafter. I said you have to build yourself up. On December 29, 2020, midnight, we had to rush into emergency of VMMC due to spikes of high fever and epistaxis, which is nose bleeding. He had pneumonia, and this time his MDS transformed to a full-blown acute myeloid leukemia, a fatal type of leukemia. And on top of this, he had dengue, which aggravated his condition, and it was shown through laboratory examinations. The rest is history. Before he died early morning on June 6th, Tito and I would have talks, even when he was in a better condition, in good condition. We would have talks about our living will, which we told to our son Bobby, the doctor. A living will is you have to tell what you want when the time comes. Because if you go to a hospital, they'll do everything. If you don't tell them anything, they'll do everything. That's why your bills can soar skyrocketing high. Can go up to 10 million, no, if you don't talk to your doctors. So I advise all of you should have a living will. We are in that age group. We respected what he wanted. He didn't like any tubes coming out from his body. When the doctor asked texted me, would you allow a tracheostomy? I said no, that is not in his living will. Intubation, because an intubation automatically connect him to a ventilator. I said that is not his living will. And he told me when he knew, of course, of his disease, just help me die gracefully. That's what he told me. Ayoko mabaldado. Words from a true, courageous officer and gentleman. My dear sons, Nolly, Kakoy, and Bobby, Papa may not have been with us always. He may not have given us riches, flashy cars, but he gave us a good name. A name that means character and integrity. A name that means competence. A name that means courage. And a name that means charisma. My dear daughters-in-law, Sheila, Trixie, and Kyle, Papa loved and trusted you very much because he saw how you brought out the best versions of our sons. And to our little Apu Solen, my sweetheart, Frank, the future astronaut, Oscar, his namesake, and the naughty one, and little Andy, whom Lolo was impressed with her talking. You little ones brought out the tenderness and gentleness from a rebel Lolo. In behalf of my family, I would like to thank Tito's relatives, my relatives, PMA classmates, flying school classmates, civilians, upperclassmen, lowerclassmen, soldiers, crash survivors, so many to mention, and you know who you are. Thank you very much for protecting him in those critical times when his life was in danger. And you all provided food and shelter for him without even thinking of the danger it might cause on you. Tito and I love you for these acts of Christianity, and I will never forget you, and may your kind flourish. Tito, my love, Tito, my honey, you have always said that your life was a bonus. God has called you, and you said yes, so willingly and acceptingly. It is time to stop running, my dear, and stay peacefully in the loving embrace of our Lord Jesus Christ. I shall miss you as long as I live, and I shall start rebuilding my life around your loss. Thank you.
Thank you, Manina. Okay, before we close, there will be a number from Kakoy.
Yeah. Check. Oh, yeah, thank you. Good evening again, everybody. I'd like to please indulge me and let me serenade you with the favorite song of my father.
shades of gray, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you, and I say to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue, clouds of white, the bright blessed day, the dark sacred night. Then I say to myself, what a wonderful world. Oh, the colors are blue, so pretty in the sky, and also in the faces of people going by. I see flames shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're saying, I love you. I hear babies cry. I watch them grow. They learn much more than I'll ever know. And I say to myself, what a wonderful world. Yeah, yeah. I say to myself, what a wonderful world. Yeah, Tito.
Thank you. For you, Papa.
Okay, let's all stand. Hello, hello, hello. Yeah, let's all stand. I'd like to read excerpts from the Holy Gospel from John. Now the hour has come for the Son of Man to be glorified. Very truly, I tell you, unless a grain of wheat falls into the earth and dies, it remains just a single grain. But if it dies, it bears such fruit. From the whole evening's testimonies and the whole day's singing and talking, these are actually indeed prayers. All our actions are prayers. Jesus listens to our heart, and Tito, the way he lived his life, his actions, and everything from the heart are actually prayers from the heart. So all of us now here left behind, continue to pray for the repose of his soul. We pray for you all, the family. And while you have lost him physically, you have gained a family among all of us matatags. And as we always continue to talk, walk our talk, we continue to pray. And all of this we ask in Jesus' name. Amen. In the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen. Good night, everyone. Okay. Tomorrow, the Mass